The gate men are dragging forward their sheets and fitting them one on top of the other. Great flat metal sheets, salvaged from other jobs, are cut to order in the blacksmiths and sent underground on the initiative of the canchmen themselves. These will form a solid floor when the full web of stone canch is dropped on them. They will provide a solid base upon which to shovel the stone, flung back into the packs, or provide a solid base on which to shovel the packs with either side, or filling out what surplus is left onto the face panzer. They will sit one under each other, so the shovel glides from one plane to the next without striking a metal edge. They are part of the ancient Geordie pitman's la, or the Yorkshireman's nouse. It is pit sense, learnt of doing things the hard way, and the brain riding to the rescue of the struggling sinew to find an easier way. Without the metal sheets, the hard stone will force the shovel down into softer floor, which will always fill with more hard stone. It will force the edge of the shovel always to be pointing down and not flat. It will mean you always strike the hard sides of the stone and never find its edge. You will break your back in pointless endeavour. To the sheets is added the scaffold. In reality, this collection of long planks and metal girders is to stand on after the shots are fired, from which to set the bow and then the legs of the new arch tunnel support. But pitwit bends its existence to the task at hand. It becomes an inverted chute stretching right across the gate. It will prevent the stone flying off down the gate and scattering the rock. It will ensure the stone will slide down into the sheets. The sheets and the scaffold were not invented by the gaffers. They were dreamed up from the back-breaking, shovel-swinging, knee-aching toil by the man at the foot of the stone pile, kneeling, stripped to his hoggers, in clouds of stone dust, powder reek and coal dust. You can have a drink yourself, you know. Louse, that's knockoff. For us is a long steamy walk through the dust-filled jungle back down the gate. I refuse to go out the other way. The other way means you go out by the main gate. It means you get to ride on the belts with the coal, duking and weaving, sliding from one side of the belt to the other to dodge the low work and obstructions as the belt passes at speed along the tunnel. This is not a man-rider belt, and getting off it while it is running is one of the most dangerous parts of the shift. Most just leap for a strut or swing themselves off. Others leap for overhead cables only to find that they are not secure and fall heavily to earth from some height. Others still catch great rocks or lumps of coal and shin themselves and graze their arms. None of that is the reason why I don't do it. To get to the main gate means traversing the full length of the face on your hands and knees with your gear. This is louse, and there is no time to do that. So they ride on the blades of the scraper chain, their heels propped over the edge of the blade. At Rosington, where I had trained, they turn their shovels and sprag the handle into the adjacent flight and sit down on the opposite one, feet wedged against the handle. The belt is dangerous. The face chain is suicidal. If an inspection cover is missing under the moving chain, you will not see it until your foot goes into it and the chain slices it off, or your leg. So I marched down the gate in full flight, picking up steam, while the dust from the men cutting between the shifts and firing the rip in the main gate makes an orange fog of only a few yards vision. The sweat streams from my wafer-thin body, black and grey from stone dust and coal dust. Hair like old Father Times, wisped with stone dust like rock candy floss sticking out from my helmet. Head down, get the pace up, legs are weak now, ankles buckle, and I stagger like a drunk into some low arch, cursing and consumed with intense anger at the stunning blow to me head. Christ, what would it have been like before helmets? Some hard buggers refused to wear them. A couple of odd Northumbrians still wearing their leather caps with the clip, originally intended for the carbide lamp, which they had also refused to abandon until the law forced them to. Stride out again. Thick grey swirls of dust. Bastards are cutting in the floor unless they're into a roll. The stone dust smells of burning. Keep gunning, thud. A broken metal strut forced out at right angles into the roadway digs me directly in the shoulder joint and throws me right on the arse. You fucking bastard! I leap up and grab the strut and whang the bastard back and forth in a wild rage until the coupling bolt on the last arch starts to bend. Break, you bastard! I shout as if the strut deliberately ambushed me and did me a great indignity. It did. My shoulder joint pulses in pain and I feel a faint trickle of blood under my shirt. Finally the bolt snaps and I seize the strut and I fling the bastard as far up the gate as I can. And I think that probably wasn't a very clever idea. What if some poor bastard was hoofing along after me and suddenly a flying broken strut come flying out of the darkness? He'd think he was in Indian country. Can't resist a chuckle at the idea though. I've been splonged, mate. And I go and show Peter Sellers voiced. The thought kept me chuckling as I got the motor up to full speed again. Lights ahead, distant voices. The afternoon shift is here. Quicken the pace. If them fuckers from the main gate are all aboard, they'll take off and bugger me. I can hear them say, fuck that little fucker. He should ride down the train like the rest of her. I burst into the fresh air and the cold of the junction in a cloud of stone dust and powder reek, grey from dust, wet through with a little splot of red soaking through me sack. I grabbed me duds from the dog mail on which they've hung and run to the paddy. The loco revs like a spluttering pneumoconiotic bread van, slathering hot water and diesel smoke like a celebration bon voyage. I jump aboard the crammed paddy and squeeze me arse into the throng of coal-black colliers. Picking me spot to stand and getting dressed as the man rider switches and clanks through low work and high, then duking down again, then up again, till by the time we hit pit bottom, I'm dressed. The men don't wait for the paddy to stop, but leap from the carriages and charge towards the shaft like a D-Day invasion force. Not me. I will not do that. Here and there bodies go down and others trip up in the mad excitement of getting to the front of the queue and out of this god-forsaken pit. The crowd sways and surges, but there's nowhere to gun. The onsetter hasn't wrapped off yet, and the gate is firmly closed. If they keep fucking about like this, we'll keep them here all bloody afternoon. This onsetter took more clog than most. Clarence, the men called him. He was nicknamed after the short-sighted, cross-eyed lion in the TV programme called Daktari. When inspecting the men's water notes to ride up the pit early, he'd hold the note directly in front of his eyes, though how he could read it I never kenned. Mind you, he couldn't always. In a famous incident, he inspected an unfolded large toffee paper and allowed the man to ride the shaft on the strength of it. He often employed an odd, wrinkled man at Lows, especially on days when the melee got dangerously close to men going down the shaft. The Marahi got to impose a chain across the gap between the cage and the place where the men were supposed to stand in orderly queues. We knew it was getting near Lows when the odd figure loomed up from round some turn, chains festooned round his odd wrinkled neck. He was christened Lang Cheney at once. I got the third draw, but my feet still lifted off the deck in the surge of men squeezing into the cage. A final rib-crushing heave and the wire mesh gate drops. Rap 3, and off with a jolt, up, and that distant smell of tab smoke, detectable about half a mile down the shaft. In the baths, voices crash, spirits are light. The cut in my shoulder turns out to be more bruised than cut. It looks like a giant love bite with a hole in the middle. As the water hits me head, the stone dust clings on one last time, clogging me hair. The shoulder wound stings. I try to soak it in the hot water, and suddenly I'm singing. Not just singing, but something about the situation turns you into your dad. I'm singing, "Some enchanted evening." I don't even know that bloody song. Songs come to you in the shower. You sort of subsume them from the atmosphere. Wrong words. Somebody singing, "No milk today, the cow has run away." The Searchers number, I believe. And those who get 2 or 3 songs blended into one. Makes no difference, I suppose.